Welcome to the walkthrough, where every week we go deep on real estate's most trending topics and check them off one by one with a panel of the brightest minds in the industry. I am your host, Byron Lazine, along with my co-host, Eric Simon, the broke agent, and returning to the walkthrough, finally, depriving walkthrough listeners for so long, is Taya DiCarlo. Taya is one of Compass's most recognizable faces. She is an absolute superstar in the industry, and she is with us from LA. What's up, Taya?
Good morning. Thank you. I've been kind of a jet setter this fourth quarter, so my apologies for having such a tight schedule. I blame it on Sarah.
You deserve it. Sarah, who's doing a great job over at the 5 a.m. call as well. You guys had a great little vacation. I saw that, and you guys both deserve it. Brooks Landry is also our fourth panelist. Brooks is back on the walkthrough. Brooks, of course, is with Real Brokerage. He owns Envision Media, and he is with us from San Francisco. Brooks, what's happening, brother?
Good morning. Good morning. I haven't been a jet setter. I haven't been on vacations. I've been just kind of like sick, you know?
Yeah. At least you're not dealing with 102-degree fever like the last time.
This is true.
On the walkthrough.
Lost some pounds, but I'm feeling good.
All right, Eric, this show is only possible because of why?
It is possible because of Keeping Current Matters. The Walkthrough podcast is presented by Keeping Current Matters, your go-to source for the insights and content you need to be the market expert. KCM is the best in the business at taking the latest housing data and curating it into powerful visuals and marketing content for video and social media that help you look great and give tons of value to your clients and prospects. At a time when the market's changing and consumers are asking questions most agents don't know the answer to, KCM makes it easy to build your brand as the market expert. So check out trykcm.com/BAM so you can master the market in your marketing today. There's a link below in the description for KCM.
Good job, right. Eric.
I'm giving Eric a 6.9 on the ad read.
One stumble there, but overall pretty solid.
Oh, yeah, better than last week's 4.7, 6.9 for Eric.
Well, Byron, if you could read, you would do it, but you can't.
If I could read and talk at the same time, I might tackle it. All right. Topic number one, the bill to ban TikTok and what it means for your business. I love that this is our panel, Taya and Brooks, because both of you guys have utilized TikTok this year in your business. But Taya, like, you got a call from the Dr. Phil show because of a TikTok that you and I did together.
And I quickly turned it down. I'm like, Byron, in Byron's defense, he really wanted to do it. And I was like, no, guys, we're not.
It was a massive mistake turning that down. We could talk about that. I had another TikTok featured on the Dave Ramsey show. So TikTok has been this explosive viral algorithm machine, and now it might be banned, which means we won't be able to use it in our businesses. A new bill from a small bipartisan group of lawmakers would ban TikTok in the U.S. The new bill has a name, the Anti-Social CCP Act, which stands for Averting the National Threat of Internet Surveillance, Oppressive Censorship, and Influence, and Algorithmic Learning by the Chinese Communist Party. That is the full name of the act. It's a bipartisan group, so it's not a left or right thing. This is politicians coming together and working together to ban TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, obviously owned by the CCP. Taya, your thoughts on TikTok going bye-bye?
I don't think it's going to go bye-bye. I really don't. I mean,
okay,
I think
if it did, what would it mean for your business? Would it mean anything? Obviously, you don't think it will, but let's say if it does, what do you think is going to happen to your business?
Yeah, I think that this is a good wake-up call to anyone, whether you're a real estate agent or any small business owner that's using any social platform to grow your business. You need to diversify. So for me, I've always felt like I need to have at least 3 different mediums whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, LinkedIn. You need to diversify and have all of your content going to multiple platforms, but more importantly, whatever platform you choose, encourage people to sign up for a newsletter and get their email addresses. So that way, if these platforms go away, God forbid TikTok goes away, if it does, you know how to pivot, right? Or if maybe it becomes passe, let alone go away, you need to know how to go, okay, well, I'm going to jump on this new platform, or I'm going to use LinkedIn. If you have people's email addresses, you will survive no matter what.
Brooks, if it goes away, impact on real estate agents' businesses.
Yeah, I'm not as heavy on TikTok, and just like Taya had said, diversification is the name of the game. Just Instagram. I'm more heavy on Instagram. I'd say Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube is kind of the pecking order there. But it's definitely going to have a notice to a lot of people that are getting business from this. I'm not getting as much. More of my business is coming from just connecting with agents around the country and bringing it a part of Envision Media and what we're doing over here. But real estate wise, I'm not going to see much of a hit because I'm not really getting anything from it. Do I think it's going to be taken away? No. I think Trump tried to get this done a couple of years ago and it got shut down. So I mean, it's tough to say.
There's too much money being made.
Yeah.
Eric, as someone who's on the Instagram payroll, who's been a hater of TikTok for going on a couple of years now, your thoughts on this potential ban?
I love it. As an Instagram simp, as you would say, Byron, ban it. Get it out of the system. It is bad for us. It's bad for me. Every time I'm consuming TikTok, it is feeding me trash. It is feeding people in Asia astronomy and math problems and geography. What's the capital of Idaho, right, Brooks? You probably don't know it.
I heard about this somewhere, Eric. Articulate that more, because I heard the same thing. So that the algorithm is feeding people in different countries like China very much educational and scientific topics. And the algorithm here in America is feeding kids
junk,
other things. Eric.
Yeah. It's feeding them dances. It's feeding them sexually charged material. It's feeding us sports. It's feeding us just nonsense, basically, and gossip. And it's an incredible algorithm. I love it. I almost consume more TikTok content than I do Netflix or Amazon Prime. It's a fascinating app. It serves exactly what you want. And it's an incredible app for content creation too. It preface Instagram Reels. It's how we edit. It's how we consume vertical video. As Gary Vee's been saying, it's been the TikTokification of the entire digital landscape. But I'm for the ban because as a content creator, I have my eggs in too many baskets. TikTok is the one I haven't capitalized on yet. So from strictly a personal viewpoint, get it out. Instagram is the place to be because I'm on their payroll and I'm a simp of IG. And IG is the best place to host an audience. I've said this a million times. It's the best place to DM, plug links. It's constantly evolving.
DM for sure.
And also Meta's stock, because of this announcement, was up 6%. Snap stock was up 3%. So all these other platforms benefited from it. But as Taya started to say, I don't think anything's actually going to happen with this. You think Marco Rubio is going to push this thing through? I mean, that guy's never accomplished anything.
So, TikTok is where I have the most followers, and Instagram is a very close second for me. It's not all about followers, to your point, Eric, because I get much more, engagement, the engagement that I'm looking for. And I think this is true for, an agent looking at their local business. The engagement that I'm seeking with the content that I'm putting out, it's at a much higher level on Instagram with the DMs, with the comments. TikTok is just all over the place. There's a lot of spammy people on TikTok, and it's hard to have a real authentic relationship through that algorithm with people that you're following and people that are following you. I would say I would not care if it went away. And Eric and I joke about this all the time, where I say he's going to care more. I also wouldn't care because the algorithm is very frustrating. When you are new to uploading content on TikTok, the algorithm gives you huge advantage. Okay. And that's where I saw my biggest growth. And then when you're 6 months in, a year in, TikTok slows you way down. Even some of the people that I follow over on Instagram or other places that I actually like to consume their content, I see less of it on TikTok. I'll see somebody else rip off their content and post it because it's a new account and they'll get more views than the actual person that said it. So TikTok's algorithm is going to reward people that are new to the platform and not necessarily continue to reward them over time unless they have one absolute banger of a clip, but they suppress their other videos to a large degree. So the algorithm's very difficult to figure out, and it does not have any type of local advantage like Facebook and Instagram do yet.
I want to be a contrarian and say that you can adjust what you're looking at on TikTok. And what I found to be one of the most compelling things on TikTok is the crossover. Like when I was dedicated to uploading content to TikTok, I got really overwhelmed because once I had a few videos go off, I got really overwhelmed by how much engagement I got. It was like sipping through a fire hose. And all of a sudden I had a bunch of people crossing over to Instagram. And those were the quality people that I can DM and interact with. People who've said, I actually discovered you on TikTok from that powerful algorithm. And for me, everybody's For You page is different. For me, I do consume more TikTok than I do any other platform, and even like Netflix and HBO. Like I love watching stand-up comedy. Like all of my stuff is very light and happy and puts me in a good mood. But I have found that my crossover has been huge from TikTok. Like my following is now almost 40,000 on Instagram, which those are real people who found me on TikTok that would have never found me otherwise.
That's all from the Overask podcast, Taya, not from TikTok.
What?
That's all from your appearance on the Overask podcast.
There's a lot of
that. Check out. That is our second most listened to episode ever, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I agree. Because of my growth this year on TikTok, it's exploded my growth on Instagram. There is a huge crossover. And Eric talks about this all the time where you've got, listen, if TikTok went away today, all the time in, money, videos that I invested into making sure I was relevant on TikTok over the last 12 months would still be an investment that I'm happy I made because of your point, Taya. It has helped me grow on Instagram and create better relationships. It helped me become a better content creator, better at hooks. All of these things have benefited me. And Eric talks about like, hey, if there's a new platform, get on there early, start figuring it out. Even if it goes away, like Clubhouse went away, it might help you with Twitter, Twitter Spaces right now, or it might help you on, creating content somewhere else. So I'm in agreement with all of that. I just wouldn't be that upset if it went away. And I do believe that most people that have the app are consuming the majority of their content on there. They're getting lost. So I pose this question. Would real estate agents be more successful in 2023 if TikTok went away because they'd have less time to get lost in the algorithm and more time to actually do the things that drive business?
Yeah, it's
stuck in the wormhole.
Yeah, it is a wormhole. It's a total distraction. And I think that's why I took a step back from TikTok, because I found myself not only engaging with the trolls and also the positive people, but it just was so overwhelming getting that many notifications every time you log on there. Like, oh my God, that could consume you. You're like, I need to prospect. Like, let's not forget that everyone who watches content creators, they think that it's this diet pill. They think that it's this magic thing that we do that all of a sudden all of our business comes from it. We still go to live events and shake hands and meet people in person. We're still like prospecting, making our phone calls and emailing people. This is not just the one thing that's going to, jumpstart your career.
Oh, 100%. Hit the thumbs up if you agree with all of Taya's points. I do agree with everything you're saying, Taya. So I'd be hitting that thumbs up. All right. These next two let's check that one off. The next two topics here are really important. So I'd stick with all three of them, but the next two in particular with where the market is going. So topic number 2, foreclosure crisis, highly unlikely, even with Redfin's predicted home price declines. Okay. And this is a BAM article. The last article is a BAM article. We put all the articles in the show notes so you can go deeper, after the show if you'd like. Let's break this down. This is kind of recapping what we talked about on last week's walkthrough. The Black Knight report that said 8% of 2022's mortgaged homes were already underwater. So that's a small subsegment of all mortgaged homes. Okay, so 8% of 2022. Now Redfin comes out and says only 3 in 100 homeowners would go underwater on their mortgage if prices decline by 4%. Okay, so according to this Redfin report, let's show the Redfin table here, because they go to 4%, they go to 8%, they go to 12%. Okay, so if prices changes in home prices stay flat, then share of homeowners underwater would be 1.6%. If change in prices go to down 4%, 3.4% would be underwater. If we go down 8% in home prices, 6.3% of mortgaged homeowners underwater. We go down 12% in home prices. And some people are saying we may go down as much as 12% in 2023. Then you're going to see over 10% of mortgaged homeowners would be underwater. Okay. Now that's the totality of mortgaged homes. So you get a 4% drop in pricing. You're going to see 3% drop or 3% rather people underwater. Okay. So different from last week's Black Knight report, which is just taking that 2002 segment of mortgaged homes. Let's go to the KCM chart. We showed this one last week. This is an important one to be sending out to your database on this topic, because these headlines are out here about foreclosures and they are up, but they're nowhere near what they were going into 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. They're nowhere near even 2015, 16, 17, 18 levels. Okay, so they are up, but they are still amongst record lows. So we're not seeing a foreclosure crisis. There's no data to support that there's going to be a foreclosure crisis, despite what's happening in the economy. So we've got a couple more things to share on this topic, but Brooks, I'll go to you. Just on this Redfin report, does this back up your belief that we're in a very strong position in terms of people hanging onto their homes in 2023? And how would you get that message out to your database as a real estate agent?
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, we're nowhere near where we were as that chart shows, but a lot of that has to do with that moratorium of the hold off of foreclosures during COVID and whatnot. And the majority of those underwater now, you have to assume are the FHA or the VA or the smaller down payments. When you saw a little bit of a turn in the market, those are the type of properties or the type of loans assumed that are going to have a bigger chance of being upside down, depending on, how it flows. This is kind of a headline thing, right? And we were kind of texting back and forth last night where these headlines are getting a little out of control, where there's a lot of fear with the thought of the market turning, of the thought of it bringing back to 2008, 2009. It's just not the case, in the sense that all of these loans, for the most part, I mean, you're fully underwritten. There's stricter guidelines on the back end support, right? So we didn't have the Ninas and the no income, no asset deals. You never had any of those type of things over the last few years. I think we're just seeing a little bit of a turn from the market adjusting and kind of going back to the correction out here in the Bay. And I texted you guys earlier today that I ran a quick little report on just notice of defaults filed in Alameda and Contra Costa County here in the East Bay. 2021, there was 275 NODs filed. As so far this year, we're almost at 1,100 NODs filed for those two.
So notice of default, because I wasn't familiar with the NOD. So NODs, notice of default. Give us the number again, the disparity.
Yeah, so 2021, 275 between two large counties. That county's made up of Oakland, East Bay type of deal. 2022, we're up to just under 1,100 today, as of today. So there's a significant uptick in notice of defaults. Now, what is that going to do? Why is that? Maybe a lot of it has to do with, tech money, a lot of layoffs. There's been an insane amount of layoffs here in the Bay Area. I would say probably 75% of my business is in the tech industry. So I'm curious to see how this goes in the next 90, 120 days.
There's been more layoffs in the tech industry, because listen, my belief is the tech industry sees what's coming. They're getting ahead of 2023. In your market, there may be significant layoffs in 2023. Topic 3, we're going to talk about some of these comments that, Jerome Powell and the Fed are making. And I would anticipate layoffs being, a real contributing factor to the 2023 market, which would increase notice of defaults, depending on who's impacted. So it's not surprising that in the Bay, that's what you're seeing. Taya, your thoughts on where we sit right now with people being quote unquote underwater?
I think that we need to look at the big picture, that yes, if there is an uptick, overall, when you're looking at the, even like the last 30 years, we're still at a historic low. There's always going to be people, there's always going to be layoffs, there's always going to be adjustments. And we're now balancing out from a really inflated, out of control, unsustainable growth market. One thing I wanted to mention, you had mentioned that a lot of people who may be underwater or having trouble right now are the ones who had a VA loan or an FHA loan where they're putting 3.5% down. I have a Taya's 2 cents that I'm going to be posting later this week that's all about assumable mortgages. So I would say this, most conventional mortgages are not assumable, right? So if you got that 2.5% interest rate, you can't just pass it along. You can't even take one person off of it. However, if you research FHA and VA loans, many of those loans are assumable. And I would argue that if any of those sellers in 2023 are in a position where they have to sell or it would be advantageous to sell, they should look into seeing if their loan is assumable. So then that way, when there is an uptick of inventory, you're now going to be the belle at the ball because your loan is assumable. So that's something that I would absolutely encourage agents to tell their FHA and VA clients to look into.
Yeah, and I would absolutely look into that. If somebody has a need to sell, but make sure the seller understands that it's going to be a longer process, because I do hear a lot of people talking about this assumable deal, and that is a longer process to get through it's not as lengthy as a short sale, but it is a longer process, but it is an option for people, to your point. And hey, talking about the 2-3% interest rates, I think that you're not underwater if you don't sell. Okay. So, if I'm underwater, but I'm where I want to live and I'm going to be there a long time, I'll sit on my 2.5-3% interest rate. That being, which I've said, hey, is going to create less sales. And that's what we're seeing. It has created less sales. If actually we can go to the KCM chart for projected number of sales, you'll see that this number continues to rapidly decline.
And
that being said, agents,
can you put down your headphones, please?
Look at Eric. Eric has a party going on in the background. We're doing the walkthrough, Eric.
I was making everything silent. Go ahead.
Eric is okay. He's back with us. All right. The good news is, agents, as sales rapidly decline because people are going to sit on their low interest rates, we're projected to have 5.1 million total home sales in 2023. That's more than 2008. That's more than 2009, 10, and 11. And in fact, it's actually more than 2013 as well. Okay. So it's well off these last couple of, bubblicious years, these last two COVID infused years, but it's over 5 million sales. You're going to be able to do a lot of deals. You're going to be able to help a lot of people buy, sell, and invest in real estate in 2023. So no problem for you and your business if you're doing the things that matter. That being said, you're going to want to make sure that your consumers, your database, the people that trust you to be the local expert, understand what underwater means, understand what a drop in their home value means for them. It means something. If you're selling, you probably want to sell early in the year, so you're closer to the peak than at the bottom of it, right? There's different things for everybody. And I don't think it's necessarily that. Taya, you shared that one article in the text, the CNN article. I mean, this is some of our clients are getting information from CNN, which is scary. What was the article name?
This is also very helpful for me because I actually thought that 3% of homes being underwater meant that they were actually physically underwater.
Oh my God.
There was like an actual flood or something.
Like they were dry.
I was like, this is crazy.
That's just mold.
Taya,
that CNN article headline.
I'm pulling it up right now. It was, let's see. It was, it's a terrible time to buy a house. Here's what to know if you have to do it anyway.
Listen,
what?
Listen, there's a lot of people that click on CNN articles in the country.
Yeah, which is why I sent it to the chain, because I'm like, look, people, no one wants to read the actual article. And that's where realtors who are trying to have an online business that thrives, you got to sit down and do the work. You got to read the articles. You got to sift through the bullshit and give us the cliff notes. Let us know if these things pair up. Is it just clickbait? We're talking these media companies, it's profit over people. They don't care about the message. They don't care about the journalism. They care about the clicks, because that's how they stay in business.
It's why this KCM data is so important. And the link's below if you want to try KCM for free, obviously. But you've got to get out in front of these headlines, and you have to do this day over day, because only 10% of your audience is seeing any of your content. If you have a 20%, open rate on your newsletter to your database, you're doing well in real estate, which means 80% of people in your database aren't seeing your messaging. You've got to do this over and over and over again to make sure the people that trust you are getting accurate information. I'd love to read the Instagram post from Business Insider, Taya, that you shared with us, that you shared with the group. If you could pop that up for everybody on YouTube. A record level of young adults in the U.S., they're currently living at home, and all that saved rent is sparking a luxury boom.
So
Recent data from the U.S. Census Bureau shows that nearly half of young Americans between 18 and 29 are living with their parents today. It's a historical high not seen since the Great Depression era, Morgan Stanley analyst wrote in a Friday note. Analysts estimate that around 48% of young adults are living with parents in 22, and this is similar to levels seen in 1940s. Listen, I think out of that 5.1 million sales that they're projecting in 2023, there's going to be high demand from young people in this country to buy homes there.
Absolutely. Well, this is kind of the joke, is like combining both of those articles, right? It's like one article is like, it's an awful time to buy a house. And then it's like, and kids are living at home and buying Louis Vuitton. Like, it's insane to me. I think that there's so much information for everyone to digest. It's hard for, I think, young people to know, well, how do I become wealthy? How do I break through and become financially free and go on vacation and do the things I want to do? Because look, this younger generation, I'm like an elder millennial, borderline Gen Z. Like, these younger people, they love to go on vacation. They love to take their time off. Like, they want to have that work-life balance, and they want to have it all. It's like, if you want that, you need to learn how to be financially savvy. And if buying a property is not for you, then you need to learn how to invest. And buying materialistic goods that are going to depreciate, not appreciate, this is just it's irresponsible. It's totally irresponsible.
Yeah, Taya, I had talked about this in the Real Word a couple of months ago. 22% of millennials and 19% of Gen Zers have entered into debt because of their dating habits. So travel, dating, hitting that Tinder app hard and then trying to impress.
I feel attacked. I feel attacked.
No,
dating in LA is insanely expensive. Like, a cocktail is like $21
for men, or are we talking about men or
for everybody?
No, it says it goes both ways. I mean, if you go into that CNBC article that I'm talking, CNBC Make It article, they talk about they're splitting the bills, and it's not a gender thing. It's true. Millennials and Gen Zers are spending a lot of money, to your point, on travel, on experience, and you get longevity in all of those things of experiencing the good life when you actually have some financial stability. And owning a home in America is the best way to do it. If you're just blowing money on rising rent costs, another thing we're talking about in our text group before the show was like some of your, pet peeves about the marketing. I am getting sick of agents jumping onto Instagram and TikTok and yelling at other real estate professionals for telling people that they shouldn't rent and they should think about buying a home. It's insensitive to say that. That is one of the worst takes of 2022. Helping one more person stop blowing their money on rent and getting into home ownership is doing good for the world. It's doing good for America. And it's one of the worst takes I've heard all freaking year.
Byron, it's called rent shaming. If you're not familiar with the correct terminology, it's been circulating around Facebook groups. Whenever I've shared a meme about that, there's a ton of people in the comments saying, "Okay, cool, nice rent shaming." That always happens.
Yeah. Rent shaming.
We all, everybody needs to get thicker skin. This is so stupid.
The agents out there calling others rent shamers are looking for sympathy tears, and those sympathy tears are coming from people who will never be a homeowner. So congratulations on that content.
And those people are buying luxury goods, living at home.
That's it.
100%. 100%, Taya.
It's memories over investments. Is what.
All right. Topic number 3. Jerome Powell says Fed has still has a ways to go after the half-point hike from this past week. I'm going to read some of his quotes that stuck out to me. We're now sitting at a 4.25% federal interest rate. It's the highest in 15 years. We've raised it 4.25% this year alone. So we're sitting between a 4.25 to 4.5 percent target.
What is going on right now?
What happened? Did I have a booger on my face?
No. You're doing well. Everything's
all right.
Going
so
fine.
Jerome Powell, it would be funny if he had a booger on his face when he does some of these press conferences. So he's talking about how we're well above our longer run goal of 2%, talking about inflation. We're at 7.1%, which came down this week more than expected. So we had good news at the beginning of the week, and then he got up on stage, and then the bad news came, and the stock market reacted both ways. We went up the beginning of the week, we came back down and lost all those gains. He's not thinking about changing the goal. Jerome Powell, quote, not thinking about changing the goal at all. We're going to get down to 2% inflation. We have a long way to go from here. Jerome Powell says, quote, we will use our tools to get inflation back to 2%. Period. End of story. He is every single time they do a rate hike, he says we're going back to 2% and we're going to do whatever it takes. Okay. Do not expect us to cut the rate anytime soon. Here's the projections. This could change, he said, depending on market. It could be even higher. For the end of 2023, we're going to be at a 5.1% federal interest rate. We're at 4.25 right now. So they expect throughout 2023 for the federal interest rate to continue to go up, which continues to shrink our economy. So the economy shrinking is going to intensify in 2023. He expects it to be 4.1% by the end of 2024. That's where we are right now. We're at 4.25%. So basically, we're going to have no positive flow on the federal interest rate in the next 2 years, in the next 24 months. We are going to get back to where we are right now in the next 24 months. And then 3.1% by the end of 2025. The markets reacted negatively to these comments. How are we reacting as real estate professionals? What does this mean for our business and for our clients moving forward? Taya, take it away.
God, I mean, I'm kind of floored by hearing all of that in one full swoop. I'm going to say Brooks take this one first because I don't have anything to say to that right now.
Yeah, is my mic okay?
Yeah,
Are we good? Are we good? Well, I think the big number that is, I think it's the inflation, the monthly inflation report is what everybody's going to pay a lot of attention to. So we understand this is going to happen through 2023, 24. He just continues to reiterate himself. So I think when that inflation report comes out, you see a direct effect to the markets. And then at that point, consumer confidence lightens a little bit. I hope. I mean, we've seen this over the past couple months when we've seen inflation come down. For me, I mean, my overall thoughts with my clients are, let's kind of wait. You know, a lot of people are saying, let's just wait to play this out, see what happens going into the mid next year and kind of wait towards the end of next year. That's basically everything on my end back here. But I think we pay more attention to the inflation reports than we do what Powell's saying. I mean, at this point, right? We know what's going to happen.
Yeah. To Brooks's point, then I'll let you jump in there, Terry. The monthly inflation report, when we had a good report at the beginning of this week, we saw the 10-year drop, which has a bigger impact on mortgage rates than, Eric?
For the people at home, Byron, can you explain what the 10-year is?
So
Do
listen,
you know what it is?
the 10-year is what you're going to want to follow more than the federal interest rate because it has a bigger impact on the mortgage rates. Okay, so you're going to want to follow that closer, and it had a significant spike down when this inflation report, the CPI report that Brooks is talking about, which came out at the beginning of the week. This also happened in November. Okay, we had good CPI data, consumer price index, which is the inflation report. It was better than expected beginning of November, just like it was better expected in the beginning of December. We saw a 10-year drop in both cases. We also saw mortgage interest rates drop in both cases. Okay, so we were in the 7s in November, came down to mid 6s now. We're now in the low 6s. There's belief that maybe the last 3 weeks of the year we could touch the high 5s on mortgage interest rates. It's a big reason you've got to get this information out to people that are in your database that are thinking about buying, because I don't know what's going to be in January. So I'm agreeing with you there, Brooks. That is really good news. Doesn't solve all our problems heading into 2023. Taya, a lot of this stuff, agents might say, geez, I just don't want to get this deep into the financial world as an agent. What do I do in 2023? Is the world crashing down on me, Taya?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say this first. No one should pretend like they're an expert in giving financial advice. That is just not something you should do. I think that if anything, agents should lean into their professional sphere of influence. Are you friends with financial advisors? Are you friends with CPAs? Sit down, go to lunch, start talking shop, and get multiple perspectives on what's going on. If there's anything that I've seen from like the elite and the rich, it's that whenever, and markets go like this, their stance on this is ride it out. Don't try and not spend as much. Like it was funny watching, young adults living at home and spending frivolously. The rich are not doing that right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They're saving their cash, and they're going to ride out the storm because they know that when the market's down, cash is king. And they can go in and they can buy more assets. And a lot of people end up on top after, a drop in the market. So I would say this: don't act like you know what you're talking about. If you don't know the answer to a question, say you don't know the answer, and get people in your sphere that you can refer your clients to so they can get some really informed advice.
And agents, stop pretending like things are going to turn around and go back the other way on a dime. That's not happening. 7 minutes into Jerome Powell's talk this week, he mentioned housing. He said the word housing. My ears perked up when he said it. And immediately after that word, he said, it will take time for full effects to be felt. So he mentioned how housing, because of the mortgage interest rate, has declined. We've seen pending sales decline in a big way across this country. We referenced that earlier in the show. And then he followed that up with, it's going to take more time for the full effects to be felt. Let that sink in if you're planning on taking the next 3-4 weeks and doing a Macarena 4-week holiday. Okay. The holiday is one day.
Macarena.
Okay. You ever do the Macarena, Eric?
Yeah, the Macarena.
There you go.
I just can't stop thinking about the image of you sitting there listening to Jerome Powell speaking for 10 minutes, super excited with your ears perking up when he mentions the word housing. Are you sitting there with a big screen like it's NFL Sunday or something, full speakers
on the iPad,
but shaking, waiting to say something?
But he's right. We're all our numbers. I see a bunch of agents right now making a whole bunch of money, and I'm happy for them. November, December. Well, it's the work they did in June.
Yeah.
It's the work they did in August. So they're cashing a bunch of commission checks right now. In the comments, listen, have you had a great quarter 4? Let us know in the comments. But remember where you did that work. Think about that client. Okay, that closing I just had, when did we meet? When did they start their journey? And understand that the effects of what's happening right now are going to be felt in your bank account in June of next year, in December of next year of 2023. And we need a game plan to get prepared for that.
And not just a game
something I
plan,
believe
Byron.
strongly in.
and not just a game plan for your own business, but understand that when the market gets tougher, people really want qualified experts advising them.
Yes.
They could give two shits that you stuck a sign in the yard in early 2022 and got 10 offers. They want to know when the market adjusted and you still got full list or maybe 3% below, that they're reaching out to you going, holy shit, everybody else's house was selling way below asking, or maybe they took it off the market. I had a lot of listings this year where the clients were like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to rent it out. And that was not happening a year ago. So I think that we as real estate professionals have an opportunity when it's doom and gloom and Jerome Powell saying the sky is falling, we need to pivot and go, okay, well, what are my strong suits? It's not just marketing. It's going to be negotiating. It's going to be having the foresight and having tough conversations to tell your client, listen, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. You know, you're way off on price. We're going to have to cut the price. We're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. You're going to have your listing agreements are going to go from 90-day listing agreements to possibly 12-month listing agreements. When I got my real estate license in 2006 and we were taking listings like all through 2010, those were 12-month long listing agreements.
Yes. 100%.
Those are going to be coming back, guys. Like,
oh my God, they should be back.
They should, and they're going to come back because it's going to take a lot longer for homes to sell.
If you're signing 3-month listing agreements right now, you should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed with your value that
Shane
you're
Bell.
bringing to the table. Yeah, I'm shaming 3-month listing agents, like 3-month contracts. When are you asking for the extension? The minute the ink is dry? I mean, if I signed a 3-month listing contract, the next words out of my mouth are, would you like to extend now? Okay. Because
but Byron, these are agents who don't know what a market like this is going to be like. They have no idea. There were some agents in the height of the market in 2021 that were signing 30-day listing agreements because they knew that if they got the listing agreement, they're like, well, I'm going to sell this shit next weekend.
And they're all coaches now. They all have a
Please don't take this as an attack. Don't take this as an attack. 3-month listing agreements need to go away. Know your value. Okay. Be willing to stand your ground on your commission, on the value that you're bringing to the table. Sign a real listing agreement. Back in those years that you mentioned, 2012, 2013, 2014, I was not only signing 1-year listing agreements, Taya, I'm right there with you. I was also getting a $500 upfront fee from the seller to cover photography, and I'd reimburse at a time of closing.
Wow.
I would go in there and say, I'm not taking every listing. We're in an environment right now where the market is being flooded with sellers just like you who want to sell their home. I'm working with a select few because my marketing plan is better than anybody's plan that is going to walk through that door. And if you want to work with me, I'm signing a couple a day. You're going to have skin in the game, and we're going to do this together, and we're going to be committed to a sale in the next 12 months.
Well, how about all the clowns that came at me when I posted that video that was like, no, I don't pay for staging. And everyone's like, well, that's part of my marketing plan. I always cover the cost of staging. Good for you, Jessica. Like cover the cost of staging. You're going to go into debt. And you're going to lose the listing that you had signed for 90 days. It's not going to sell. You're going to do the reduction. And then you're going to lose the listing to somebody else. And you're going to foot the bill for the staging.
Well, the staging thing's a whole nother issue, because when you're signing these contracts and you're handling the staging, and the homes aren't selling in 60 days, 90 days, you need extension on that staging. The last thing a seller wants is for you to have a fully staged property, and then you thought the home was going to sell in 40 days, 50 days, whatever the case may be. Then the stager takes all their shit, and then you're sitting there with a vacant property. It's a whole disaster. Trust me.
And you have the bill. It's like, guys, don't do that shit. This is a new world that we're going into. This is a new world. Do not pay for staging.
Byron walks into a listing appointment, gets them to pay for his photography, gets them to pay for his kid's college, gets them to pay for his gas.
Leaves with gas money.
Yeah,
have a gas
leaves with their
house.
Yeah, exactly. He goes in and just completely takes everything from the seller. Genius.
Always take their offer of a drink unless it's a Bud Red, unless it's a Budweiser, then turn them down and run. Right. Okay. Let's get into the last topic here. Eric, Instagram. What do we got? We've got a new feature on Instagram, away messages, notes, and candids and collabs. We want to talk about the away messages. What do we got?
It's like
Get
you're
the
going to the
giggles
kid.
today.
It's just like you're going to the kids table after you guys were talking about 10-year yields and everything, and you just put your papers up. Eric, Instagram, new features, huh?
Here we
Away
go. We're
messages.
going-
Why
Oh my
don't you say
God,
something?
so good.
We're going from Ruth
Brooks didn't
Chris
know
to
what
Chuck
the
E.
10-year
Cheese. What do you
yield
got,
was.
Eric?
Brooks texted me during that during the conversation and said, "Please ask what the 10-year yield is, so
Well-
I can understand what's going on." Just so you know. Just kidding. He can't do
I
that.
doubt
was me.
that to be true. Brooks works with highly sophisticated individuals in the Bay Area.
Yeah. So basically, Instagram is rolling out new features, everyone. Congratulations. This is fantastic. And my favorite feature is their new note feature, which now lives above your Instagram direct messages. It's a short post up to 60 characters where you can share your thoughts or what you're up to. They're kind of like away messages that you used to use on iChat or AOL Instant Messenger. Brooks, what was your screen name for AIM, by the way?
Party
I don't
Boy
remember.
69.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Oh my
6969,
God.
yeah. 206.
Baseball Brooks.
Football for life 6969.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pats
Drew
fan.
Bledsoe
Pats
69
fan,
69.
Anyway, these away messages, well, these aren't actually called away messages because Instagram actually does have away messages, which you can now access in Meta Business Suite, where you could actually have automated replies. So if you're not active on the phone and someone DMs you, you could have an automated reply. This has been out for a while now, but Adam Mosseri, the Instagram CEO, was just mentioning this again. But these notes are incredible, I think, because it's another way to get people to interact with your account. They disappear after 24 hours, and you could say something clever like, ask me about the market, or I haven't seen the movie Shawshank Redemption, or what was your AIM instant message handle. So it gets people to engage with your account without even doing anything. And I think it's brilliant. Like if you're using the mini chat feature or the DM feature, you could say, DM me the word money for our next webinar. And it's just another feature to use on Instagram. And I just love how they're constantly evolving. I know Byron thinks I'm an Instagram simp, but I think they're just doing a good job at retaining that info or retaining that attention from users.
In the comments, do you like the Instagram changes? Taya, do you like these changes? Will you use them? Do you think they're changing too much?
I mean, I haven't used it yet. I'm really focused on subscriptions going forward. And so that's actually one of the newer features that I'm really intrigued by, that I'm excited to see what happens with it. But one of my biggest objectives going into 2023 is going to be engagement in the DMs. So I think this would be a great tool to get more conversations started, because as you've told us, Eric, the more you interact with people on that personal level, the more that the platform is going to favor you and get your information and get your content out to more people. So I think it's great.
It's like putting up a tweet basically, or just your thoughts. You know, that was kind of like the beginning stage of Twitter, was just like, hey, I'm headed to the movies, or I'm hungry. It's like updating your Facebook status basically. And Brooks, like with Envision Media, you could have it say something like, DM me if you're interested in doing video. You know, it's just another way to do it without putting it in your Instagram story or like infiltrating people's feeds. So it's clever, it's fun, and it's a good way to promote yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get it. If you could just send me one of those job applications, and I can possibly get to the front of the line.
I'll talk to Zucks for you, and
we'll
get you in line.
Yeah.
But again, if you don't have this feature, for the people listening, Instagram always rolls out new features to different creators at different times and different locations. Byron doesn't have it. Brooks doesn't have it. Most people don't have it right now, so this will be coming soon. And then also there will be.
Don't feel like you're special. Our intern Haley has it. So you know, not that she's not special. She's very special. Haley.
She's
does
very
a great
special.
job.
Yes, and I'm also special, and I have it too, because Instagram knows that I'm going to be promulgating their information nonstop.
This truly was the Chuck E. Cheese topic. Our intern has the feature, and so does Eric.
Fun fact, Chuck E. Cheese, my dad actually used to own a pizza company called Peter Piper Pizza, which was Chuck E. Cheese's rival.
Ooh.
But you didn't
Peter
know that,
Piper.
Byron. Peter Piper Pizza is the pizza people pick. National chain.
I love that HBO show that takes place in Brooks neck of the woods, that HBO show Silicon Valley, where they had the app called Pied Piper.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Peter Piper, very similar.
Pizza.
I need to hear that one more time. Do that one more time.
Peter Piper Pizza is the pizza people pick. Best pizza chain in the country. Chuck E. Cheese actually recently bought Peter Piper Pizza. I was the heir to Peter Piper Pizza, and instead I'm doing this.
Peter Piper Pizza
Correct.
is just a West Coast thing, because I've never seen a Peter Piper Pizza.
International. It was in Mexico. It was in Michigan. It was in Texas. You probably have one outside of your door, Byron. You just haven't even noticed.
I've never heard of Peter Piper Pizza. Taya, you're in LA. Have you heard of Peter Piper Pizza?
And I could have never predicted that our conversation was going to lead to this. I'm just like,
it's rather the best childhood of all time. They sponsored the D-backs, the Suns. I got to throw out the first pitch at Bank One Ballpark. I got to try out all the games. I was in commercials.
Oh my God.
In Eric's Instagram notes is, I could have owned Peter Piper Pizza.
No, I was the heir.
Know what the hell he's talking about.
I was the heir. That's what I want to see. I want you to do a TikTok video or an Instagram reel of like the green screen backdrop of one of these said commercials. Prove it.
I mean, I was 3 years old and I was, banging one of those things with the lights.
I want the VHS footage.
All right.
Eric's PP has disappeared. His Peter Piper dreams.
Peter Piper heir.
That's right. Now it's all on to building the biggest media company in real estate.
Eric lost his PP and now he's in real estate. Let's go. All right. I think we will wrap there, right?
Yeah.
We'll wrap up the PP talk right there.
Doesn't get better than that, Byron. I mean, that's like ending on a high note.
If you enjoyed this episode, throw it a like and make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because we come out with this walkthrough, the most electric show in real estate, every single week. Thank you for having me, Byron.
Yeah, well, way to go, Eric. And we couldn't do it without everybody who tunes in every single week. Of course, Taya and Brooks, we love you guys. Can't wait for you to be back on the show. We'll see you on next week's edition of The Walkthrough.